What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, and you guys are at Dracon Digital. If you guys aren't on this channel, you're getting left behind. Today, we're going to be talking with Richard Yan. He is the COO and co-founder of Vite and Vitex. It's their exchange that is a quote-unquote decentralized exchange. You guys will enjoy this interview. Richard, he is very knowledgeable. He came into the crypto space I want to say about 2018 era. He talks a little bit about the project. We'll talk about NFTs, where the project is looking to go, and how they're bridging and changing the game. Guys, stay tuned. And if you guys like this video, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. That way you guys are notified every time we make a new video. Without further ado, here's Richard. Richard, tell us about yourself, man.
Great. Well, thanks for having me here, Drake. So yes, my name is Richard, and I am the co-founder and chief operating officer at Vite Labs. So we are a public blockchain, and I'll get into exactly what we do later. Maybe I'll just quickly cover what I've been up to. So I came from traditional finance. I joined the crypto industry around 2018. So certainly not one of the OGs, a very late boomer or late comer. And so I got interested in crypto after being introduced by a family friend to my current co-founders. And I can get into the genesis story as to why we all started trying to build this project later on. But yeah, so basically sort of traditional finance into crypto person. So previously, in traditional finance, I worked for Two Sigma, I worked for Goldman Sachs, and I worked in fixed income, so mortgage-backed securities mostly. And so, yeah, we started in 2018, which was arguably a great time to be buildo, and a great time to be hodling. And now we are in this time in 2021 where I think things are just lining up for crypto to receive even more attention. So yeah, so happy to be here, and that's my story.
Okay, fantastic. So Vite, really crazy technology. Really like the concept, really like the idea, but how did you come up with something like that? You would have had to somehow be in the blockchain industry or work for a company initially, or did you just come up with it?
Yeah. Well, how did Satoshi come up with Bitcoin, right? I guess we'll never know. But so
Well, I could tell you one thing. He saw the problems with the money system, so he's like, I'm gonna do something better than this. He's probably somewhat of a gamer too, in my opinion, but hey, who knows?
Yeah. One could only hope. Well, in my case, I would say that when I was an insider in the traditional finance industry, I think was living in a bubble. The fish doesn't know it's wet. I never really considered myself one of the people that was, say, elongating any or pushing some kind of outdated narrative, or working in an outdated system, or working in a legacy system, what have you. I think I was very interested in what the legacy finance world had to offer. I felt there were many opportunities. But when I started investigating crypto, fell down this rabbit hole, initially I was skeptical. But later on, I was really drawn in by the promises that this whole space can deliver. And I think, so the origin story is that when I was introduced to my co-founders, they were big time technocrats, right? They weren't in this finance world. So to them, this crypto world actually seems quite natural because they've never seen the inside of big banks. They've never worked on these trading desks. It was very easy for them to adopt these new things. So even though one of them is significantly older than me, he to me felt like a very young person. He's like a kid, right? And it's a lot easier for him to accept this new reality. So I think I learned a lot from perspectives from their side, and gradually came to be more and more of a more and more welcoming mentality when it comes to crypto. So I think that the origin story of Bitcoin is trying to separate money from state, and is trying to create sound money that has a set monetary schedule. It's trying to create an asset whose supply does not inflate with demand and is trying to create censorship resistant digital gold, store value, and all that, right? And then Ethereum came about and sort of said, okay, this is kind of boring. Why not try to create these immutable contracts that will execute lines of code that will do something with money? So truly turning what is digital gold into programmable money. So, but Ethereum also has its problems. And in fact, these problems have been discussed millions of times by many projects on many platforms, on many interviews. A lot of projects came in to try to solve the scalability problem. And a lot of them had very different approaches. Some were tackling the consensus algorithm, some were innovating on the ledger, and some straight up were doing centralized stuff. So that's what Vitalik calls non-blockchain crypto. So in our case, we are innovating on the ledger side. So my two co-founders, big time technocrats, are great fans of the nano currency. One of them actually proposed building the smart contract on top of Nano, but I think that team was dead set and focused on just making Nano money. And so we said, okay, so we're going to do our own thing. So essentially, we use the block lattice ledger, which is a variant of the directed acyclic graph, or DAG. And essentially what it does is that it allows the accounts to get updated asynchronously. And so instead of having one blockchain, such as in Bitcoin, where you would have transactions waiting in a mempool to get accepted into a block and subsequently get pushed on the chain, creating these 10-minute gaps, what we do is that each account has its own chain, and those chains can be updated asynchronously and independently. And the syncing happens afterwards. So that greatly reduces any kind of wait time and makes the throughput and latency much more favorable. So that is, I think, the key innovation, but we added a smart contract to it. So now essentially what I think Ethereum has been doing to digital gold, we're doing to fast transfer money. Sorry, we're now adding smart contracts to money that can be quickly transferred at little fees. So essentially our main advantages are, number one, we're completely zero fees, and we have instant settlement speed. We have smart contracts on top, and our CEO actually recently how our system, despite being zero fees, are resistant to spam attacks, which Nano recently sustained. And if you're interested, you can read more about it. But the TLDR is that we use a staking model. In order to send a large amount of transactions, you need to stake Vite. That does not mean your Vite will be consumed. Does not mean your Vite will be burned. It just means you still have it. You just need to stake it for a short period of time in order to jack up your local TPS.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like called quota.
Yes, dynamic quota.
Yeah, so can you, without staking, can you still send large transactions?
Yes.
Like a large amount? Okay, so that's
so it has nothing to do with the amount. It has to do with the frequency, right? So you can send $1 billion, and if you only send it once every day or something, there's no problem at all. You use
you just get the loading circle of death.
So we have So we have so there's two different ways to allow a transaction to secure the quota it needs. So quota is, you can think of it as TPS, you can think of it as the resource you need, the network resource that's allocated to you to do your transaction. To secure the quota, you need to do either proof of work or you do or you stake, right? The proof of work, now don't commingle that with the proof of work in Bitcoin. It has nothing to do with block rewards. So the proof of work there is just a anti-throttle mechanism, just doing some random stuff so you can wait a little bit, right? So it's a time delay. Staking is an economic mechanism. So essentially, if you want to send lots and lots of transactions within a very, very short period of time, you got to pony up. But by ponying up, I'm not saying you have to pay gas. You're holding your Vite, you're staking your Vite, right? So now imagine an attacker trying to do damage to the platform by flooding the network. Then that person essentially needs to stake lots of Vite. So they have to buy up lots of Vite. So the attack will get increasingly expensive. And this is dynamic, meaning when the network gets more congested, the amount of staking that you have to do to secure the same amount of economic resource for transactions will increase. So then the cost for attack will increase as well. So anyway, so that's Vite. That's the public blockchain. If there's one takeaway regarding the public blockchain is fast, feeless, smart contract.
Right.
Now, so on top of this, we built it's a smart contract platform, so it can enable all kinds of dApps, right? You can build games, you can build decentralized social networks if you really want to do that, and then you can do DeFi, right? So what we've had done is we built a DEX to illustrate what you can do with the public blockchain. The DEX is called Vitex, conveniently named Vitex. And you can see the logo on here. And
yeah, I see it's over here on the right.
Right. So Vitex is a truly decentralized exchange. We believe it's the first one to have a DEX operate on DAG. In fact, Vite public blockchain is the first network to implement smart contract capabilities on DAG ledger. And by the way, we can get into the other DAGs. I know you're curious about a few of them. And so with Vitex, once the assets are on chain or on the Vite chain, natively Vite assets, they can be transacted on the Vitex exchange on a truly trustless manner. So nobody holds your assets and you can transfer. You can do the transactions yourself. But in order to get assets on top of Vitex, right? Imagine you're trying to trade Bitcoin on Vitex. It's kind of like trading Bitcoin on Ethereum. How do you do it, right? So there's RenBTC, WBTC. In our case, we use the gateway approach. So you essentially deposit the foreign coins onto a gateway and subsequently receive a wrapped token representing your original currency. And then
like
that becomes fully, yes.
Okay.
Right, exactly. And then the token that you're trading now becomes truly the trading for that token becomes truly decentralized and trustless. So now, in order to solve that gateway problem, we don't like the whole gateway approach. This will be phased out. And what we're trying to do is to migrate to Vite 2.0, right? We already published a white paper. And the basic idea is that we're going to be doing cross-chain solutions that will be trustless, decentralized, and eventually that will replace the gateway. So the interface will look like this. If you try to trade on Vitex and you have Bitcoin, how do you do it? Right now, you post it into some gateway, and then you get the Vite wrapped token for BTC, right? And then later on, I think from the user's standpoint, it will the transition, the move will be just as smooth. But what's happening under the hood is that we're taking advantage of Vite 2.0, aka Vite Bridge, that will do the transfer, that will do the custodying of your BTC on a much more decentralized manner. Okay. So that's Vite 2.0. So I basically very quickly gone through the Vite public blockchain, which is sort of phase 1, Vitex, which is sort of phase 2, and then Vite 2.0, which is phase 3, right? So let me know if you have any questions, or I'm happy to also answer your questions about DAGs.
Sure. So the Vite 2.0, you're still going to keep that cross chain. So say, for example, you're going from Ethereum, pay the Ethereum gas fee, Vite does its proof of work thing, and now it's on Vite. And then same thing when you transfer out of Vite, you got to do the Vite proof of work and then pay the Ethereum gas fee. That's still going to be on Vite 2.0.
So the proof of work, when you send a transaction on Vite network, any kind of Vite native asset, you can either stake, so you don't have to do POW.
Correct.
Or you do the POW, right? And when the network is severely congested, we require that you stake. There's POW no longer works. You have to stake. Okay. But to your question of how the Vite Bridge Vite 2.0 works. So essentially, once the assets are on Vite, there's no Ethereum gas anymore. Now, but when you try to onboard the asset into the Vite network, obviously you still have to pay gas to do that, right? Because that's on the Ethereum side. Now, what Vite Bridge is trying to do, though, is not trying to get all Ethereum assets onto Vite or Solana assets onto Vite or all Bitcoin wrapped in Vite. Rather, it's enabling ecosystems to interact with each other. So that means assets issued on Ethereum can move seamlessly to Solana, right? And Solana assets can move seamlessly to, say, Avalanche, and then to Elrond and to BSC, right? To OKX chain and so forth. So that's the idea.
So what you're trying to do is go from Ethereum to Vite to Polkadot, or is it going straight from Ethereum to Polkadot? Like I'm just giving.
So Vite will be involved in the middle. I mean, so
so it'll still have to go boom, 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 boom.
Right, but from a user, I mean, when I visit a website on my Chrome browser,
Right.
the web page is being served through the network packages are being sent to me through routers and switches and so forth, right? But I'm not seeing any of that. So
Right.
the analogy here is that if you were to try to transfer asset via Vite 2.0 from, say, Ethereum to Solana, right? The user won't be able to see under the hood what's going on, but essentially that is what the Vite is doing the connection, doing the plumbing.
I see. That makes sense. Okay. So a quick question back to, we were talking about the DAGs. I know you guys said you're the first exchange, and I do believe you are the first exchange. The only one the only other one that I know of that's coming up, it's going to be similar to like a Uniswap. It's called LTX, I think it is. It's on
Okay.
Constellation. Have you heard of LTX exchange?
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if they're order book based or AMM based. I've heard of Constellation. I have heard a few things, very little about LTX. I know Constellation's DAG based. I don't know when LTX was announced,
Okay.
and I have no doubt if the public blockchain can do what it claims it can do, then LTX can be built on top. But I think at Vite, we've always focused on delivering things that people can see and touch and interact with. I mean, that's the ultimate way for normal people to realize the power of the blockchain, right? So there's no good for having claimed to have built some highway if cars can't run on it, right? So that's essentially what we have done. What we have seen from various DAG projects is that there's announcements for what theoretically could happen, but for whatever reason, the project, the products actually don't get released. So in our
Right.
case, I think the best way to kick the tires of the V chain is to use Vitex.
Right. That's true. That's true. So Vitex is almost like your proof of concept, and then until you get like a major partnership or a major adopter, that's probably when this project will take off. That's for sure. I mean, I've already seen growth. You guys can see it's got a steady growth going.
Yeah, I
As
mean,
far as price, but obviously all the products you guys are making, like I've seen the gaming section too. It's really
yeah.
interesting. You guys created a great product.
Yeah. I mean, so our Vite app is sort of your one-stop shop for various things you want to do on the crypto side. So Vitex is a big one. So our mobile wallet basically allows you to trade on Vitex. We have various airdrop campaigns. We have games built on VeChain that are hosted on the Vite app. And so the other interesting thing about Vitex I should mention is that the VX coin associated with Vitex actually allows you to earn distribution of the exchange. So what that means is that the exchange charges a fee for every transaction. It puts that into a pool and then distributes that to all the holders of VX. So how do you get VX in the first place? You get VX by transacting on the Vitex exchange, right? So every time you
Right.
do a trade, you remit some trading fees, but in return you get your VX, and then you're entitled to shares of fees from the pool. And there's a bunch of other ways to earn VX too. If you just put a limiting order, right, a limit order that does not get executed within a certain range of the bid offer, you also get VX. If you refer friends to the exchange, you get VX. If you also list a coin on the exchange, you also get VX. And so, and one last one is if you stake Vite for the benefit of the transactions on top of Vitex. Remember how I said you have to stake Vite in order to facilitate transactions?
I'm actually
So
staking Vite right now, earning VX, and then once you earn a portion of the VX, you actually start earning a portion of the trading fees. So you have to get like 10 or something like that.
yes, there's a small threshold for the amount of VX you need to have in order to start accruing the fees. So you're absolutely right. And so yes, so basically we were talking about the Vite app, and I kind of went on a tangent and started talking about the coin VX on top of Vitex. So and right, so I think originally we were talking about I think we were talking about DAG, right, like the other products and so forth. So I
Correct.
just basically think the best way to understand whether a chain has what it takes is to interact with the product. So I know people in the industry generally don't have so much time because there's so many different products, but I think if you are just interested in generally investing in assets or trading assets, you should definitely check out Vitex, the platform. That will give you a basic idea for how things work on the Vite chain. And earlier, actually, just to go back to one point you said about partnerships and so forth. In my opinion, I think the best product market fit right now in crypto is decentralized finance, basically uncustodied digital asset value transfer. So borrowing lending protocols is one way, decentralized exchange is another way. Maybe there's insurance, and maybe there are now derivatives and so forth. So the way we're penetrating that particular market is through the decentralized exchange, which is Vitex.
Okay. So speaking of partnerships, do you have any possible DeFi partnerships coming up, or NFT partnerships, or insurance platforms, gaming platforms coming? Like I see you guys already have a gaming section. Maybe partnering with any of the major players out there, like maybe an Aave, or I don't know, just any other platforms.
Yes. So the way we're looking at partnerships right now is through two different perspectives. Number one is the cross chain. So if you try to cross different chains, you by definition need to have partners in those chain projects. Now, you don't need to necessarily intimately interact with the team members, and they don't necessarily need to do much. But I think there's a need for the Vite bridge to be marketed to those communities. Imagine you are an active Solana community member, and you're also active Avalanche community member, and you want to be able to transfer assets between those two chains easily. Now, if you didn't know about the existence of Vite bridge, then you wouldn't go ahead and try to take advantage of it, right? So our hope is that these projects will partner up with us in terms of marketing the availability of the Vite bridge technology to their respective community members. So that's one first perspective, right, in terms of partnership. The second one is the fact that Vitex is an exchange, so it will list digital assets. So to the extent that coins get listed on there, that's also a form of partnership. So one of the coins we're looking at right now, I mean, this is all community driven. So we have a vote out now for people to nominate coins to get on or vote for coins. And one of these coins is called NFY. I think it's an NFT related coin.
Okay.
I think in terms of actually implementing NFT technology capabilities on Vite, I personally am still thinking about it, because I think so it takes a while for people to get Bitcoin, then to get Ethereum, right? And then to get like DeFi, and then maybe it takes a little bit of time to get NFT.
I mean, come on, you don't get Pancake Swap?
I get Pancake Swap, right? But that's
no,
not
it's a joke. Like you talk to someone like, hey, yeah, invest in Pancake Swap. They're like, pancakes? Yeah. What are you talking about?
Right. I mean, yeah. So I totally get it, right? So it's a great meme. But I think the NFT, it represents digital ownership. I run a podcast, by the way, as well. It's called the Blockchain Debate Podcast. We recently had some people
Send me a link
on
to that.
I'll do that. We recently debated NFT, the legitimacy of it. So, I mean, the whole thing is that the sober thinking versus the art of the pump, right? Meaning, like, there are some things that don't make sense, but there are some things that make you a lot of money. There are some things that just you can't reason as to why they have value, but the reality is that a lot of people think they do have value, right? Now, so NFT sort of takes that concept and just turbocharges it, in my opinion. So because you're not actually owning something, whatever you own, actually everyone else has the same exact copy. It's not even a copy, it's a clone. It's not even a clone, it's the original, right? So, and yet people are willing to pay huge amounts of money for it. And the other problem is that right now the infrastructure is not in place to allow whatever you own to point to a censorship resistant location. Meaning, for example, the Beeple piece. There's a viral Twitter thread going around where someone explained that whoever bought the Beeple piece essentially has certificate pointing to a URL, right, which is centrally hosted by somebody. So the whole claim that, oh, I bought this Beeple piece, it belongs to me, and I have claim to it, and no one can do anything that will remove my ownership of it. In fact, whoever owns that server could just delete the piece from it. And then you can say, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's on the internet somewhere else. I can just Google image it, right? I suppose you could, but then it just topples the whole idea. You're not actually owning what you think you own. I think at the end of the day, it's just giving you the right to say, I did this transaction. And somehow people value that. So anyway, so the point is, I think our interaction with NFT at this point is just listing some coins on the exchange that are NFT related. And by the way, when I say we are listing, this is all decisions of the gateways. So one other thing about Vitex is that anyone can try to run a gateway. So a gateway, you can think of it roughly as a white labeled exchange, right? So Vitex is only the underneath protocol, right? But if you want to add a web interface on top, and then you want to list coins, you want to run a gateway that takes non-Vite coins and then distributes the wrapped Vite token for it, that's your business. You can do a gateway, right? Currently, there's a few gateways on us, but you can run a gateway and you can list any kind of coins you want. So when I say we're contemplating that, I really mean the gateways are contemplating these decisions.
Okay.
So, but that's the interaction that we'll have with NFT at this stage. I mean, would we love to be the underlying chain for something like NBA Top Shots, where I don't know, like NFL, I don't know what's the right term for it, or
I don't know if
Madden or
NFL
something.
has one. Well,
They don't have it. They don't have it. They will though.
Madden touchdown or something dumb.
Yeah, Madden touchdown. I like that, right? Or
Madden touchdown.
Yeah, you know, or I'm out of sports memes at the moment. So, but we theoretically we could, and we're technically able to do that. I just don't know if we have sufficient belief in what this thing does yet to allocate resource to it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my genuine feedback on that. But that being said, there's still lots of other games in town, and like I said, we're going to be doing cross-chain, and we're going to be interacting with other coins by having our gateways contemplate listing them on Vitex.
Yeah, no, I know NFT is here to stay, but at these valuations, I mean, they're very high valuations. So it's kind of like, are we getting ahead of the horse, or is the horse still pulling the cart right now? So NFTs are kind of high, but I do know DeFi is definitely here to stay, because that's the whole point, is decentralized banking. It's like we have smart money and dumb money. I'm not calling Bitcoin dumb. I invest in Bitcoin. It's great. Bitcoin is quote unquote dumb money, because in order to transact with it, you have to send it, and then you have to have the receiver take it. And then you have the problem with, well, okay, I want to buy a gift from someone or a package from someone, and I have the Bitcoin. Do I send the Bitcoin first, or do they send me the package? Yeah, send me the package. I'll take your take your package. I'll keep my Bitcoin and I'll run. But with Ethereum, you can set up like a smart contract. So that's why it's interesting to have some smart money.
Right. Although I would say Ethereum also still has the Oracle problem, because you're connecting an on-chain to an off-chain world, right? If I'm trying to buy an NFT, there's no, what's the name of that problem? I think you're referring to maybe a coordination problem. Like, so if I try to do a transaction with you, right? You're delivering the digital good. I am paying you the digital cash. Who goes first, right? That's the problem you're referring to.
Correct.
I think if we're doing that completely on chain, then Ethereum clearly can do that. And currently Bitcoin is not equipped to do that, right? But I think if you're trying to do a package, a real world package, I'm trying to buy one of your jerseys, right? I would really be concerned with you taking the money and not delivering the good.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a good solution for that. And maybe there's some good off-chain.
They do have a couple of them. They have a couple built on the Ethereum chain. One you probably heard of, they were recently hacked, was Paid Network, like an escrow service is what they provide. So Ethereum is not technically the one that does it, but they have a platform that allows people to make that. So it's basically just an escrow service is what you'd call it. Yeah. So just like in real estate, when someone's paying money for a house, we have a title company. The guy wires the money, and it's just sit there.
I mean, I am not, to be completely honest, like I feel that I'm one of the people that consider myself sober thinkers in this space. So I do think there are use cases that are legitimate, like for example, DeFi, but then there's some other ones where I think that we're way too early, to put it mildly, to conclude that those use cases actually will make sense and stand the test of time. So when I hear the word escrow, I mean, I just feel that's a centralized service. So there's no point actually using blockchain for it. So there's actually lots of projects that have partnerships with insurance companies or with, let's say, logistic companies. And they say you can use blockchain to track supply chain, or they can use blockchain to do decentralized identity management, things of that nature. And then there's decentralized voting and so on. I think it's been a while now, and yet we haven't really seen these decentralized cases beating their centralized counterparts in terms of performance, in terms of popularity and adoption. So yeah, so I'm a little skeptical there. But the thing is that I think DeFi alone is sufficient in proving that there is a good use case for these things. And so yeah, so that's just my 2 cents on basically what you said. And that is sort of also related to the orientation of Vite, right? So that's why we're focused on the cross-chain, which is sort of shovel and pick play in the crypto space, and then decentralized exchange, the whole idea of continuing to ride the wave of transfer value of digital assets. That's a, I think, very, very sustainable demand in the blockchain space.
Okay, so on top of the Vite exchange, I know you mentioned that you have like a cross-chain bridge. Why would I use your cross-chain bridge when I can just use Binance? It's like, if I want to go to Binance, I'll just send my token straight from Ethereum straight to Binance Smart Chain instead of going to Binance, or I'm sorry, Ethereum, Vite, Binance.
So when you talk, so you're referring to BSC. So a couple of things, right? Number one is that I don't know if BSC's architecture is set up such that it is meant for universal cross-chain activity. So I think from our side, we're talking about our main value proposition is twofold. One is universality, and two is trustlessness. So universality basically means I think our architecture is sufficiently flexible to be able to cross any 2 chains, right? So now some implementation work will need to be done in order to build up the interaction between a foreign chain and Vite, right? But once that's done, but I believe that kind of integration work is a lot more flexible on our side. So I'm not familiar with the whole BSC thing. I know that they have some kind of ecosystem going on right now, and they have included a lot of different chains into their ecosystem map, but I'm not sure how quickly they can ramp that up and whether that engineering plumbing is actually going to be as easy as one imagines. So I think so from that perspective, I think we're competing on the architecture and just the ease of engineering. That's the universality part. The trustlessness part comes in the sense that I think there are some cross-chain technologies that actually have multiple single points of failure. So my understanding of BSC is that BSC has, and this is the criticism from Ethereum network too, right? So from the Ethereum community, in that BSC has, I think, only a few nodes that are supporting the chain.
They are very centralized.
And to my knowledge, these are kind of, nodes of CZ and friends.
Yep.
And so I think that could potentially be an issue. Now, that is not to say they cannot evolve, right? I think these things are all changeable, and crypto is completely open source, and this area evolves very, very quickly. So it's not to say they can't do that. So, but I think one other thing to point out is just that I think the demand is going to be big in terms of cross-chain transfer. And I don't know if this is going to be a one chain take all situation, one solution take all situation, could be one solution take most situation. I think even if we capture a small portion of the total amount of cross-chain activity, it could still be pretty good for us.
Right. I see what you're saying about the cross-chain, but I'll rephrase the question. If I was wanting to get my tokens on Binance Smart Chain, why wouldn't I just go to Binance Smart Chain, use their Ethereum bridge, take my ETH to Binance Smart Chain instead of going on to the Vite exchange? Because if I go on Vite, I got to go from Ethereum to Vite, then from Vite to Binance.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Okay.
No, you're good. Still good information.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. That's a really, really good question. So if you are targeting that particular use case, then maybe the value proposition is not as strong. But I think from a user UX standpoint, you actually wouldn't notice the difference. So you see, like we're not actually telling people to go to Vite and then go to BSC, right? Like the interface is still just one click. So
Right.
whether you're doing, so whatever is happening under the hood actually doesn't matter as much. So, but that being said, I do think that if you're just trying to move from Ethereum to BSC, then no, you could theoretically just do that on Binance. Yes.
Okay. Well, that does make sense though, because now that you're talking about it and explaining it a little more, it does make sense to have the cross-chain bridge because you have the wallet integration and exchange. So technically, you can have all your exchanges do all you want to do. You can use Binance, Ethereum, all the different exchange. Just like Binance, they don't only trade ERC20s. They trade many different tokens that have their own chains. So with yours, it's the same exact concept. You're able to trade different chains, but yet you can withdraw it straight to your Vite wallet, no fees. Obviously, you'll have like the proof of work, whatnot. See the value of it. So you have your own wallet and you have your own exchange. The problem with the exchanges, you can trade all these tokens. It's so awesome. No gas fees. It's great. But the problem is not your keys, not your crypto. So now whenever you're done trading, you can withdraw it to your wallet, no gas fees. Obviously, you have the little proof of work that you have to do to prevent spam, etc. But now you hold your crypto, so it's theoretically yours. So your keys to your crypto because you have the keys to your wallet. So now, if you wanted to take those tokens, send them to Polkadot, or send them to Cardano, or send them to Ethereum or Binance, you can send them straight through the app and only have to pay that one transaction fee, and it's all into one interface. I see what you mean by the UI, which is very important because people don't want to have 40 different wallets on my phone. It's crazy. I instead of having all the apps on different pages, I just have one screen and it's literally just all crypto. I go in it, it's like 10 slides. it's like, man, I have so many wallets. How do I store all these private keys? I see what you're saying. Good value proposition.
I mean, I think there's two different layers of things though. So if you want to integrate all coins into a wallet, that's theoretically something that can be already done without cross-chain, right? Like just being very honest here, because like if I have all the engineering resource in the world, I'll just have a wallet integrates with all the chains in the world. So you see, and they all appear in one page, right? But when it comes to, however, trying to get an asset on one chain to go onto another chain to participate in their Uniswap, to get locked as to get locked up in, say, their version of Compound in return for a loan, right? To speculate in their order book dexes. That's the friction that we're trying to resolve right now. Okay, so the cross-chain solution will basically allow your, let's say, your ETH-based ERC20 to participate in the Solana version of their AMM. I think it's called I don't remember, Venum or something. So like Solana has its own AMM now, right? So every chain sort of has their own version
Uniswap
of an AMM, their own DEX, their own NFT ecosystem, their own order book DEX. So yeah, so I think we're facilitating essentially that use case that I mentioned, taking your ERC20 and participate in Pangolin, for instance.
That's great. No, that's awesome because I know each and every chain has their own. Well, most of them have their own bridge, and it's great. You can go to that bridge, but it's more things to do. This is just the UI is so much more easier to use, and it's has less fees on it if you think about it. Because one day you might be like, oh yeah, I want to send my stable coins to Binance Smart Chain, and then you're thinking, oh wait, maybe I don't. I want to go to the Polkadot network, or I want to go to the Terra ecosystem. And it's kind of like you're changing all the time. If you have it all in one app, it's like, oh, okay, great. It's
two layers, right? So number one, you need to have the plumbing, the infrastructure right to allow this universality of cross-chain mechanism. And then on top of that, you want to have a great UI UX. So that users don't, I mean, theoretically, you could have the bottom layer and then have people do command line stuff too, right? Like that's still not very pleasant. So then you have the UI UX to facilitate the transactions more easily. So both things need to be done to provide a good user experience.
No, it's awesome. So a couple more questions. I'm sure
Yes.
you've seen this. A
Okay.
big problem with liquidity on some of the tokens. So like
Okay.
I remember I brought some BNB on there because I was like, or some Binance, or not BNB, BUSD on there because it was $10.
Vitex.
Yeah, because it was
Yeah.
$10 instead of the $20. So I was like, I'm a cheapie, man. I'm a big time cheapie. If you can't tell by my
Right.
clothes, I'm big time. I mean, this
Okay.
this shirt's from high school, or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
jacket. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
No,
oh,
I
okay.
like I admire the reverse signaling. Yeah.
But anyway, so when you transfer the BUSD into the exchange, it was $10. Awesome. But when I
Yeah.
get there, it's like to sell the BUSD
Yeah.
for USDT, because that's the
Yeah.
token that you have trading on there that has the
Right.
most liquidity.
Right.
I would have had to sell it for 10 cents. I was like, well, I ain't doing that.
Oh, I
So
see.
then I so
Yeah.
then I had to pay the gas fees again to get it out, and then I had to transfer in some USDT, and I ended up paying the $20, and it was just like $20 lesson learned. That's it.
Yeah. 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 I think you're referring to the lack of depth or a
Yes,
big
depth.
slippage
That's what it
in
is.
the order book. Yeah, so I agree. Centralization, decentralization aside, ultimately this is a marketplace. So you need to have enough buyers and sellers to have the party going, right?
Right.
So that is something that we're working on. And I know I have been saying this for a while now, first time to you, but maybe nth time to people. So, I mean, the issue here is that we are a sort of a smaller exchange.
Right.
And we initially started this as an exchange as a proof of concept, just so people can experience what Vite can do, right, as a public blockchain. But it has sort of evolved. It has sort of taken a life of its own. It was initially essentially kind of a toy thing, okay? But now this toy has evolved into something that satisfies true needs. So we need to basically bootstrap additional liquidity. So our historical strategy has been onboarding or getting our gateways to onboard coins that are considered gems, right? So coins
That's what I was
for,
gonna say. Keep doing what you're doing with the small tokens, because
yeah,
no one else is listing them. But when you list them, you're gonna have all the liquidity there, and people come there.
right. So gems that have strong community, have unique value proposition, but somehow aren't picked up by big places just yet, right? In fact, I think, can't remember the name. I think oh yeah, I think it's Auto that was picked up by one of our gateways, and then Binance listed them. So, but I think recently we also had another one called IXI, and then
IXI, yeah, IXI Cash.
IXI, right? IXI, yes. And there was like people just ate into that. So, so I think our hope is to essentially try to build this steadily, slowly but steadily through onboarding these coins. There's a lot of interest in getting us to list the bigger names, like the top 20 in CMC. I think the challenge with that is if we do that and we're unable to attract as much liquidity at the beginning, number one, it's not a great look for an exchange. And number two is that it's a drain on maintenance cost. And number three is that we'd rather divert the energy into finding more of these gems and then getting them listed. So I think my answer to you, unfortunately, is not a perfect one, but a genuine one, is that this is just work in progress. And and I would encourage you to check the order book before sending in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But for buying
I
BSC
even
next time.
showed that on my channel. I was like, yeah, guys, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Guys,
And it's not just for
learn from my
Vitex, right? It's for any
mistakes.
exchange, really. But that is a good lesson, because now if you were to trade on a centralized exchange, there's a possibility, there's these fine prints. Oh, you can only withdraw, I don't know, 2 ETH a day, right? I'm just making it up. I don't know what the typical requirements are, but it's possible they do that.
Oh yeah,
And some of the centralized exchange might just straight up during a bear market not give you the money back. Who knows what they're doing with the assets they're custodying?
yeah.
You know what I mean? And what else? And then there are some places that charge exorbitant withdrawal fees and so forth,
Oh, you
or they
ain't
just
kidding.
have,
Nuts.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that definitely do your own research, even when it comes to selecting a trading venue.
Always.
Yeah.
Good advice. Good advice.
Yeah. So, but again, coming back to building our liquidity, I think we experienced a small surge when one of our gateways listed XC cash, but we're going to be looking to do more of those. And this is a good time, better, as good as ever, really, to really try to onboard these coins largely neglected by the big players.
Yeah. So do you do any marketing right now? Like any YouTube channel or any YouTube videos on your channel,
Yeah,
Twitter, Facebook? Do you offer any
yeah.
marketing like that?
Well, so the on the exchange side, we have a few YouTube videos. We have these Vitex ambassadors that do AMA with coins
Okay.
that got listed. If the target community target project is interested in receiving such an interview, we do things like that. And we are active on social media,
Okay.
and we have partnerships out with the existing projects getting listed in terms of promoting their existence. But to be completely honest, we're not very aggressive. I think that there are a few different reasons for it, but we're hoping that we are sort of being discovered as the best secret weapon out
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is that, I think we also, in general, I think coin trading and coin exchanges, there are many, there's many regulations around the world, and in different jurisdictions that are
Right.
completely different. So we also want to just tread a little lightly and not be so, not take on the whole CZ strategy, because what
Right.
he's basically doing is, I mean, he has recruited advisors and the likes of senators from US, right? Or former, I think, regulators from these securities agencies, right? All these three foreign letter acronym agencies from the US. So we're not going that route. Like, he's taking a totally different stance, right? So I think that's why we do some education and some outreach, but we're not so aggressive about it.
Organic. That's good. Yeah. So I think well, I mean, you guys are already doing it. You guys already experienced it with Otto and Ixie. Um, keep doing that. I mean, don't I this is just me personally. I
Yeah,
wouldn't do what the other exchanges are doing because it's already been done. Just like people trying to create another Ethereum, don't do it. It's not gonna
yeah,
happen. All the
right.
networks over there. I mean, people create them, but they create all these dead chains. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. Anyone who tries to create another Bitcoin, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
No
have to
one's gonna dig.
differentiate.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else it's a heavy lift, right? So I totally agree with that.
But I do like the interoperability solution, the picks and shovels play that you're looking at, which is awesome, with the integration with the cross chain, and then
Yeah,
having something that's entirely different with the exchange and the wallet. And that's another thing you guys should market pretty heavy, and I'm sure you guys do a great job because like I can see Vite and Vitex are
yeah,
right at the top. So you guys put those two together. That's awesome. That was the biggest thing for me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Because I'm a firm believer in not your keys, not your crypto. Because
yeah,
I've left my tokens on it and exchange before, and I get an email from them saying, "Sorry, we can't provide service anymore. Thanks." And
right.
I
Yeah,
just lost all my money. I was like,
yeah,
"What's
yeah. We've all
that?"
been burned. We've all been there. And when the tide inevitably turns, unfortunately, what will happen? I think that some of these places, trading platforms, will have that problem, right? So, because like I said, once you deposit assets into those places, you don't know what's being done to your assets. Are they being used to be actively traded? Are they used for, I don't know, various lending protocols, either centralized or decentralized places? And they can have these hacks, but you never know if these hacks are internal hacks or genuine hacks. And when that happens, I think that can be catastrophic to the
Right.
users.
So, two more questions. The first one I want to ask is, well, first off, I know we were talking about NFTs and you were mentioning the centralized thing. I think the reason why most people build their NFTs on Ethereum is because it's, I guess you can say, the strongest decentralized network that you can build smart contracts on. Obviously, Bitcoin is going to be the strongest
Yeah,
because it has the most network hash, but you can't really build anything on it.
yeah,
So I don't know, maybe they might figure something out in the future. But is there a way, are you planning on maybe doing an NFT platform on yours? Because you guys have no transaction fees. or
Right.
maybe a DeFi platform because you have no transaction fees, but
Yeah.
yet you
Yeah.
have that bridge integration, you can automatically go straight to Ethereum and
Right.
broadcast it on the main chain.
Yeah.
So do you see maybe
I
like
see
a
what you're
layer
saying.
two scaling? Do you guys have that in the back or?
Yeah, so let's put it this way. So we will have the infrastructure for the community to build a cross-chain NFT platform on top. So
Okay.
that's not a problem. Just like you could build a cross-chain NFT platform on any other layer one protocol that is ready for it for you,
I
right?
just wasn't sure because you guys are a DAG and they're a blockchain. You see?
Oh no, that doesn't matter. I mean, think
Oh,
about it.
okay.
If you can build a DEX on top of Vite, can you not do an NFT platform? Like with
That's
NFT, all
true.
you're doing is you just so the only interaction, as far as I know, between the NFT world and the blockchain world is just a record of transaction. It's just
Right.
me saying, "Hey, Drake, I sold you a digital representation of this cup." You see,
Okay.
and I want to record that transaction on this chain, right? This can
Right.
be X chain, Y chain, Z chain, A chain, B chain, C chain, doesn't matter, right? That's the only thing that needs to happen. And then on top of that, you can have some websites, some fancy partnership and some, you can get Elon Musk to issue some song on there, right? But that's not blockchain. And that's not
Right.
really NFT either. That's just the media. And so, yes, of course it can be done. Now,
Okay.
personally, I just don't get NFT yet to want to do it myself or to have the project team do it. But I think some community members should totally do it.
Okay.
And the day they do it, obviously it will be, I don't know, hopefully a big splash, and then tons of people will be excited about it and so forth. But personally, like genuinely speaking, I still need some more time to make a conclusion as to whether this makes sense for me or not.
Sure, sure. I can just give you a brief one for a couple. These are just two quick
Yeah.
use cases for an NFT. So
Yeah.
an NFT, like for example, in real estate, you can use it for just in general, you can use it for property deeds if you wanted to. Virtually a deed locked in there. Look, this is the actual deed. And that goes
Yeah.
past like locking it up into Hillsborough or registering it in Hillsborough County, Pasco County, etc. You can just trade
Yeah.
out deeds and forget the transaction fee. But obviously, not the transaction fee, but the fee to put it in the county, just filing it. But I don't know if you do that where you're from.
So
But
that's the thing I
in
don't really
States,
get about real estate on the blockchain, because when there's a dispute on who owns this, ultimately, I think is the court of law or the legal
yep,
system that's already in place that dictates who owns what, right?
it
The
is
fact
difficult.
that the deed is printed on a special kind of paper or registered in a special kind of smart contract, that actually doesn't help. You see what I mean? So that's why I don't really get this. Yeah, I mean, but I think in terms of NFTs, I was thinking maybe there are these in-game NFTs that could be interesting. So like if I were
Those,
playing,
yes, I'm very
maybe you were
bullish
going to
on
say
that.
that. Yeah,
I'm
like
very bullish on that.
if you were playing NBA 2K and you want to own this move, right? Like no one else has, and you want to and NBA 2K needs to prove to you that's the case, then I should think so. But again, that doesn't require a blockchain though, because I guess it could, because then NBA 2K could just record on the blockchain. You could check it. You could be like, okay, that move, the hash of that double crossover or something is on chain and no one else has it. But again, I think there's still going to be trust that you have to endow in the platform, because theoretically, so let's say you own it, right? Okay, great, you own it. But what if theoretically NFT 2K decides to shut down the use of that move? So you own that move, but it's not like NFT 2K can't update their code, right?
So
Let's say,
I don't think it's going to replace it. So I think this is going to be like something in addition. So let me give another example. Well, first off, to the gaming aspect,
yeah,
this is crazy too. So do you? I don't play PS3 or whatever they have now. The PS2 was when I stopped playing. That was it.
yeah,
But
right,
like I know PlayStation 3 and 4 or whatever, you buy these online games.
yeah,
You don't really own them. Can you sell that download that you have? No, you can't. But
okay,
if you have an NFT or a digital download that says you own this, now you can
right,
go on a secondary market, sell it for a lower price to people and sell it to other people. So that's another use case for just in-game style, because on the PlayStation 3 platform, you really don't own it. You can't do anything with it. In fact, you just have to give
yeah,
someone else your account to give them the game. But back to the other fact for it's just a second backing or proof of it. So say I have a Rolex on my arm. Okay. Yeah, there's a Rolex right here. You just can't see it. It's the invisible one.
No, I see it. I see it.
But the Rolex is, you don't know if it's real or not, right?
Right.
So now how about I have something on the blockchain that registers with this Rolex, it matches with the serial number, or if it comes with the box, you can scan a QR code that cannot be duplicated. They have QR codes that can't be duplicated. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but it refreshes every 5 minutes. So unless you own that actual digital QR code, you don't actually have it. So you can make copies all you want, but it's not going to be changing each time. It's issued directly from the company. You can scan that. So this is in the secondary market. You're scanning that QR code and it says, okay, it was repaired this and this date. It was bought from this company at this time, and it's been in this user's for 10 years, and he sold it to this one, or sold it to this person 1 year ago, and now he owns it. So he's the secondary owner. You can prove all that on the blockchain. That would be your NFT case. So now you know my Rolex is real, and now you can pay 20 grand for it.
Yeah. I see. So you made 2 points. Number one is NFT somehow facilitates the transfer of ownership of digital games, right?
Correct.
So if I own, StarCraft or something, I can now transfer it to you through NFT. And the second point you made was provenance, which is basically you can prove the chain of ownership, or not the chain of ownership, but the authenticity of that Rolex because of all the attributes you mentioned. Okay, so like I said, I host the Blockchain Debate podcast. I really love intellectual engagement. And in this case, I have to sort of push back a little bit on both counts. So number one is when it comes to digital ownership, I think number one, I think the law is ultimately what dictates who owns what. And like the fact that you can't sell StarCraft to someone else right now, you have to give them your password, is not because there's a constraint in technology, but rather I think because StarCraft just doesn't want you to sell.
They don't want you, but you bought the game. You own the right. That's why people buy the CDs.
I know, but do you own the right to resell it though? You could buy something and not have the right to resell it.
Of course you do.
Let's say you, I'm trying to think of a good example of something that's obvious where if you purchase it, you can't resell it. Obviously, if you bought a house, you could resell it. If you bought a car, you could resell it. But if you've
heard of GameStop, right?
GameStop?
Yeah.
GameStop. Yeah, GameStop. What about it?
Okay, so do they have the right to resell those games?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. Okay, fine. So I guess then the question is why? Oh, okay.
Why don't they? It's because they can make more money. You said, oh, I'm sorry, you can't sell it again. Your friend's got to buy it from us.
I know, but again, that's because that's their contract with you, right? Isn't it? So
no, you buy the game, you own that digital good. That's your quote unquote NFT. Just like stocks, when you buy that stock, it's in your brokerage account. That's theoretically what an NFT is. Oh, I own it. Oh, can you prove it to me? No, it's in my account. Look, show me something real proving it. Wait, let me just log into my account and show you.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's because the whole exclusive ownership thing. Because it's like if I sell you a car, you can resell it, but no two people can drive the same car at once, right? It's the same thing with games. With GameStop, they're selling, if I understand correctly, GameStop sells these game DVDs, right?
Yes.
So, and the reason why I think the game companies allow that is because at any given time, it's just one person playing it. So they want the same thing with StarCraft.
Right. So when
you
buy it from Steam, you sell that NFT, you no longer own it, so you can't play that game anymore.
So I'm saying if, let's say, the game company wants to enable that behavior, I think they can do it, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily require NFT to do so. I'm trying to think about why the game company doesn't allow that behavior right now. So they don't need an NFT. They could just give you, let's say they allow you to burn the game onto a DVD and resell it.
Right.
Can't you do that?
I mean, I don't know how to burn the game.
Yeah,
I'm sure maybe someone can figure it out, but it seems like no one's figured it out yet.
I mean, the thing is that don't they require some kind of serial code, right? So that serial code is unique. So like even if you were to sell your StarCraft via NFT or any kind of technology to a third party, that person still needs to have the same serial code, right? So you just pass the serial code to that person. So it's the same as just giving your account to someone else. So I don't know. I'm just kind of having trouble understanding how NFT actually
I
solves that
won't
problem.
add this in the video, so we can.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So
yeah, you can add this in the video if you want, by the way, because because this is just us having an intellectual discourse on exactly
that's
what
true.
NFT
I'll do
can and cannot
Vitex
do.
or Vitex and more. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You said.
Oh, okay. I said that's fine. I'll just add it in there, and I'll say Vitex and more in the title. So then we'll have a little more in it. What's the main concern you have on NFT? And I can explain it a little better, or try the best I can.
The main concern is that, let's talk specifics. So back to, I think, the game ownership transfer example. Okay. So if I have a contract with Blizzard, the company that makes StarCraft, and they give me a license to play the game. So then I play the game, and that's perfectly fine. Now, the problem that you're raising is that I cannot easily transfer this game to somebody else, right? And you're saying NFT will solve that problem. That's your claim. So I think number one is that legally, are you allowed to transfer that game to someone else, right? I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just thinking out loud. I think that maybe you do have the right to transfer if there's a way to transfer it, but that is completely at the mercy of the Blizzard company. And maybe Blizzard intentionally sets up the system in such a way that you can't transfer to someone else. They can make more money. Someone else has to purchase it. And right. But the problem is that I think regardless of what Blizzard wants, okay, but let's say your friend John really wants to play and you want to give him the game without giving up your StarCraft password or something. I mean, the reason why NFT won't work in this case is because Blizzard needs to agree to it. I mean,
like your agreement with Blizzard is you bought this game. So now you can buy this game. Jim or Jeff wants to rent it for a few days. Awesome. I'll lend you an NFT that only lasts 3 days long. I'll lend it to you for $5, whatever. After 3 days, I get my game back and I can keep playing it. Just think about this. So the reason why go ahead.
Sorry. So Drake, what you're saying is completely legitimate, right? You rent a game to somebody else, you make a little extra side income when you're not playing the game. It's like Airbnb for games, right? That's fine. And I can totally see how Blizzard can implement a system that allows you to do that, right? They'll just have a rent button and then maybe some John's email, or I can say email to John, rent, and then he accepts it, he starts playing, and you can't access it at the same time. And then 3 days later, he releases control of the game, and now whoosh, you have access to it again. So yeah, sure, they could do that, but that's not NFT though, right? Like you could call it NFT, but it's not the Ethereum-based or blockchain-based NFT. That's just a internal system that Blizzard has created.
Right.
See what I mean? Like, I think maybe for non-gamers, Netflix is a good example. So Netflix, it has now ostensibly cracked down on password sharing. For a while, you can have all your friends and relatives use the same Netflix account, right? Netflix doesn't care, but now it cares, right? So it says you can't do that anymore. So presumably they could activate the feature you mentioned, which is renting out your Netflix for a day or something. In fact, you could theoretically do that even without Netflix. It's just that there's no effective governance system. You could say on Craigslist, hey, somebody, if you want to watch Netflix, ping me. And then you give them your username, password. In 3 days, you change it back or something, hoping they will, change it on you first. But theoretically, I think the right way to do it is to have Netflix do it. But if Netflix were to do that, they could just do it, right? It doesn't have to go through.
I said it doesn't have to go through.
I mean, think about Zoom, right? Think about what we're doing on Zoom right now. Let's say your buddy wants to use Zoom, but he doesn't want to pay for the extra cost of doing videos longer than 45 minutes. And
but I would say that's a little bit different than okay, so I understand what you're saying there, but that's kind of cheating the system. So the system is you buy it for you to use only. So you have the factor of, okay, so that's quote unquote kind of cheating the system because you bought it for you to use. Right. Okay, awesome. So now if you're giving it to your friend, there's technically two. So you just created two NFTs. That's not what it's used for. If you want to give it to them, you sell it to them. That's, you no longer own it. Now the other guy owns it. If you want to rent it out to him, you no longer own it. He owns it for that portion of time. Just like when
Yeah.
I rent a house, I can't move in there. I gotta
Yeah.
wait till
Yeah.
they leave, or I can't
I
rent it
know.
out to someone else.
What I'm
Wait.
saying is that there's non-blockchain solutions that can address that need. So think about how Netflix is able to crack down on password sharing. How do they know? Right? Like if you were to give me your Netflix password, we both watch some video together, Netflix will disable one of us. But how do they know?
So it's just like
I mean,
this. So when Bitcoin
yeah,
first started, like
yeah,
back in 2011, 2010, everyone looked at it and was like it was a Ponzi. Same thing with Ethereum. Everyone who held Bitcoin, they were looking
yeah,
at Ethereum like, oh, they're just there to steal all your Bitcoins. Don't do it. But yet
yeah,
Ethereum is now just a powerhouse. Okay.
yeah.
So now we
Okay.
have NFTs coming out. People are
Yeah,
speculating on it. People are seeing different things that can come out. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
there's other people who are looking at it and they're
yeah,
like, oh, that's a scam. They're going to steal it all.
yeah,
So NFTs have a massive use case because we are moving to a digital world, especially in gaming. If I get like RuneScape, a Rune Scimitar, or whatever it
yeah,
is, I don't really own that item. I was a big gamer. I wasted a lot of time on those dumb video games. In fact,
yeah.
when I was done and I got up from the computer and I saw it was dark and I was like, it was daylight when I started. And I got
Hey,
nothing
Drake,
for it.
can't hear anything. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. It's probably this dumb phone. Probably
Hello?
messing with it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you said, in fact, when you get up from the game and then
Okay,
what?
so in fact, when you get an item from a game, you don't really own that item. So when you have this item from the game and your friends stop playing that game or you quit that game, you can't sell that item. And all that time you wasted in there,
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
So now if you can tokenize or put those skills on an NFT style, you can take it into a different game or
Hey,
sell it to someone else.
hello?
So the second one would be is with the Vite exchange and the Vite token itself. What do you see on the roadmap ahead? What do you guys plan on doing? Are you guys building? Are you guys doing the same thing? Or are you guys making any upgrades?
Yeah, I would say cross-chain is going to be our main focus. So that's V 2.0, aka V Bridge,
Okay.
crossing every chain, bridging every chain with universality and trustlessness. And then in terms of Vitex, we'll be continuing to bootstrap liquidity by having our gateways list rare gems. And on the V public blockchain side, there is going to be lots of infrastructural plumbing that's not visible to the public because just it's very deep down in the tech stack. We're recruiting actively. So if you are a blockchain engineer, if you're a front-end engineer, if you have experience with Java, especially when it comes to working on our gateways, sorry, not on our gateways, when it working on our front end, we
Okay.
are very eager to hear from you. And also we have something called the Vite Developer Committee. We're funding about 500,000 Vite a month.
Okay.
To the community to develop new things on top of Vite. So to recap, we are focused very much on the cross-chain aspect. We're continuing to develop Vitex and VX, and we need your help. So
Okay.
either join as a full-time engineer or come join our Vite Developer Committee effort.
Okay, cool. So where are those funds that you're getting, are those because you're releasing more tokens and or is that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the ecosystem fund, right? So,
Okay,
I mean, the total amount is not increasing aside from the protocol level annual inflation of 3%,
okay.
or roughly 300 million Vite. Sorry, 30 million Vite. And the fund is just coming from our ecosystem fund, which has been reserved and is being used for this purpose.
Okay. And then a couple of questions. When I talked about Vite on my channel, someone was asking, I already know the answer. I just want to hear your answer. Is
Okay.
with the token itself, it's almost like a freemium model. So it's
Okay.
free to make the exchange. Yeah, it's free to make transactions. What's the use case of the token?
Oh, how does the token accrue value since the transactions are free? That's what you're
Yeah,
asking?
so like why would I buy the token? I mean, it's if
Yeah.
transactions are free, I don't need the token. Like Ethereum, you need ETH to transact on the network. With
Yeah, yeah,
Bitcoin,
yeah,
it's the same thing, and it's a
yeah,
store of value. So
yeah.
it's
So the
kind of like,
short answer is really staking.
okay,
So for instance, if you want to use this network for frequent transactions, such as on our decentralized exchange,
right.
the proof of work is not going to cut it when the network gets congested. So you have to stake. So when
Okay.
you stake, you basically get your transactions through faster. You can do more transactions per second. So that would be the main value accrual. And then separately, you can also stake Vite to collect tokens that are issued on Vite. One example is VX, as I mentioned, right? And then why do you want VX? Because it gives you distribution of the trading fees from the decentralized exchange.
Okay. So right now, while it's still slow, people can kind of get the free feeling of it, and then eventually once
Well,
it
not
gets,
slow, not slow, as in when when things are not, I guess slow in the sense that when the network is not congested,
well,
when not
no,
many people
slow
are
like
sending
market cap.
transactions.
Like you guys have like 100 million market cap, so not a lot of
Yeah,
users, and then Ethereum is 300 billion.
right,
So it's
right,
kind of
right,
like
right,
that's why ETH is crazy transaction fees, because back in the
right,
day, ETH was like a penny a transaction.
right, right, right. Yeah, you can think of it that way. Yes,
Okay. Okay. So then that's going to be the use cases. In order to actually trade and make trades, you're going to have to be staking these tokens. That's interesting.
yes, yeah.
So,
But you get to keep those tokens, right? They don't get burned like ETH.
right. So do you have a model where you can buy these UI tokens, like your proof of stake? Like, because when you're staking, okay, that's great, but I want to make a trade instantly. So I'm going to buy these tokens so now I can trade it instantly. But if you have to wait, I mean, we're in the era of, well, if you're waiting, it's kind of like, oh man,
Wait,
we
so
have
I'm
short
not sure I
intentions.
get the question. There's no waiting after you stake. If you stake, there's no waiting. So the transactions get through instantly if you were to stake. Like even right now, you just do some proof of work, but the proof of work doesn't take all that long either.
Oh, okay, okay. So I was thinking like you stake and you earn the UI or UL token, because if you look on the it's the basically
Oh,
the
no, no,
token
no.
for staking.
UT. You're talking about
Yes,
UT.
UT.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not a token. So, okay. So UT is a unit
Quota,
of
quota.
transaction. It's for quota, yeah,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with token, right? That's so UT, we should probably rename that to something more intuitive, but it essentially means a let's see, it essentially just means that's the amount of transaction TPS. You can think of it as like a proxy for TPS. The more UT
Okay.
you have, the more you can send at any given time. That's what the
Right.
staking means.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but you were saying if the network gets congested, technically that little proof of work thing may
Yeah.
not still work, because like once it
Right.
gets congested, then it's going to be extremely long. So it's like to the point where you have to have the UT. So if someone was wanting to make a
Oh,
trade
I
really
see. Yeah,
quick,
yeah. So the right logic is like this. So at any given point of time, if you want to send a transaction on V network, you need UT at any time, right? At any time, you need UT. UT
right?
is just a measurement of quota. It's like inch is a measurement of distance, or square foot is a measure of area, right? So UT is a measure
Okay,
of
okay,
quota, or the resource that you need to send. Now, at any given time, you need that, right? But in normal times, you can just run a POW, which is what happens when you hit send. You see a thing that says running POW, right? And then you see a little circle
right.
that completes. So that POW will help you get the UT you need, right? That's normal times, okay?
Right.
So again, to repeat, at all times you need UT. Normal times, POW helps you do that. In congested times, what happens
Okay.
is the POW will no longer work and you need to
Right,
stake,
right. So what do you?
right?
So you stake, but now that's the problem. Is I'm saying so.
You need to stake
Okay, I
in
have to.
advance. That's the thing. You need to stake in advance. So basically just get some Vite, stake in advance, and when congestion hits, you are immune, right?
Okay, so
Because the
this is
problem
something
is,
you have to prepare.
because
You can't do off
when it's
impulse.
congested and you try to stake, like that's a problem too. Because when it gets super congested, staking is a transaction on Vite. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So then the problem is that, well, if it's congested, you can't stake, then what do? You're kind of screwed. So what you need to do is you need to stake now, right? Stake when things are not so congested. So you have the staking in there, and then that will give you the UT that you do not need to get POW for. So essentially, when things are not so busy, stake, and when things are busy, you're fine.
Okay. Okay. So I guess this is something you have to prepare. So I guess when your the network gets so congested, so then technically you can't even trade on the chain. So there's got to be a way to be able to buy some of this UT. Just curious.
Yes. So we're thinking about coming up with, there's an idea of a quota bank. So
Oh,
essentially, in times of emergency, you'll be able to like buy buy quota from this bank, and then
okay.
that doesn't have, then somehow we'll allocate special quota to those transactions. You see what I mean?
Right.
Basically, the idea here is that the network resource is limited. So when there's lots of transactions happening, then not everyone can get those resources. Okay.
Right.
So the idea here is that in order to control for that, you need to effectively pay for it. It's like capitalism. Okay. Right. So we just don't have enough of these resources. You have to pay for it. So, and this problem is solved in different ways on different chains. So with Ethereum, the way they do it is with gas, right? You want to do this, you have to pay gas, and gas gets astronomically expensive when resource is constrained, right? When the chain is congested. So what we do is that we say, hey, you just need to stake, and the more you stake, the more of these quotas you'll get. Right. So the difference between us and them is essentially that we don't take away your gas. We preserve your gas, but you need to stake it. That's the idea.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I guess you'll have a bank in play. So just for like an emergency, because I was thinking, because we're in a crypto space where everyone's off impulse. So that token's pumping. I got to go buy some Vite so I can trade on there. So it's gonna be like, oh wait, I just bought the Vite and I can't stake.
I mean, if you were to buy on a centralized exchange at the moment, then you don't have to worry about it, right?
Right. No. I'm talking about the trade on, like, for IXI Cash, for example. If the
Oh, I
network
see.
was
Yes.
if the network was congested and if someone wanted to buy some IXI, they wouldn't be able to do it if they couldn't do the little proof of work thing. Because they'd have to stake it.
That's
but
what
you
we
can't
need to work
stake
on.
it.
That's what the quota bank is for. Will be
Okay.
for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the quota bank, someone would just go there and pay for it with UST or
Yes, you'll pay for it. Maybe with Vite. We don't know yet. We have to design that.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so you do have that in the works. Okay, cool. Okay, that makes sense. Just like Ethereum, they didn't think they were gonna have 1,000 or what
It's
is
a
it?
good problem to have. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it
we
is.
need to anticipate it, and we need
That's
to
why
prepare
ETH
for it.
is scaling up.
Yeah.
They found out the problem, so you can't find it until you go through it. All right.
Right.
Well, interesting. Okay. So last question is, anything in the works, like any exchange listings, anything like crazy we need to know about?
Yeah. So we're not in the habit of doing the whole announcement thing,
Okay.
and also when it comes to exchange listings, it's best to kind of keep those things under wraps for various reasons. And some of these places actually do have us sign NDAs. So in all these interviews I've had, I basically tell people that we are actively doing both software development and community development. So you can count on us to basically advance on both sides. And I can't comment on specifics in terms of where we are in the types of things that you mentioned.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, hey, Richard, I appreciate you coming on the channel, talking about your project. I appreciate you taking the time to inform us about what you're doing, and basically what I call it is how you guys are changing the game. I really like you guys' project. You guys are doing something awesome. I like to end all my videos with a wisdom one-liner. So we're in Proverbs chapter 28. We're gonna read verses 14. It says, "Blessed is the one who always trembles before God, but whoever hardens their heart falls into trouble." Keep that in mind. It's a good one to keep up. Always fear Him. That's what you got to do.
I hear you. Yeah, by Him, I was about to say something sacrilegious, but Satoshi or God?
No, we're talking about God. We're talking about God in this one.
Yeah. The big man. Okay, got it. Well,
the real man,
thanks a lot,
the one that counts. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell notification. That way you guys can be ahead of the game every time we make a new video. Alright, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Guys, I need you guys to do a couple things. Participate in the quadruple threat. First, set up a Celsius account. Here's a referral link. You guys can use it. Write it down. Type it down. Or you guys can use the link in the description below. Set up a Celsius account. Good for savings. Good for earnings. Don't bet the house on it though. But anyways, you guys can get a free bonus on this. Alright, how do I get this free bonus? Well, guys, enter in this link. You guys will get $30. Then deposit $200 in any cryptocurrency. Enter in new 40, like NEW 40 promo code. You guys can use both. And you'll get a total of $70. Guys, that's step one of the triple threat. All right, Drake, I did step 1. What's step 2? All right, guys, this is where you can get your small altcoin gems and little game changers. You guys can go to crypto.com. You can set up an account. Here's a link in the description below, or you guys can just type in this code right here on the screen. Deposit some funds in there. You get $25 in bonus crypto. You guys can use that to buy your altcoin gems and have some fun. Step 2 of the quadruple threat. And the third one, this one is a fun one, Voyager. This one is more so where you can buy with limit orders. It doesn't have as many altcoins as crypto.com, but it's really easy to use, easy to set up. And yes, this one does come with a referral link as well, and you'll get $25 in BTC. This is how you can do a limit order. Super easy to use, and they don't charge any trading fees whatsoever. Here's the referral link. You can't copy and paste it, but you can look in the description to copy and paste, and you can put that in and set one up. 25 bucks. Step 4, open up a BLOCKFI account. Here's a link you guys can use. The reference code is 024FFE02. All the links are in the description below. Open up a BLOCKFI, just deposit some funds, and you'll get $30 in BTC. And you can also get that crypto cashback rewards card. Don't forget about that. Game changer, 1.5%. And the first few months, you get a bunch of extra percent. Check it out. This is the funnest one though. Lolly, free. There is a referral link to this one too. I've actually won 100,000 sats one time on one of the taps, which is worth like $100 in Bitcoin. So it's crazy. Look, and there's even proof in the wallet. Look at that, daily stack, 101. Guys, set one up. It's really easy to do. Download a Lolly account and just set it up. And of course, guys, if you guys are a pro, there's a link in the description so you guys can sign up with KuCoin and Binance US to get some trading fee discounts. Thanks.